What's going on, Fusion Church? Come on, it is an incredible weekend in the house here, and I'm so excited because one thing is going to happen this weekend. You're going to get a download of the Word of God. We have the one and only Pastor Phil Goldsberry, aka my father-in-law, Poppy, to Daniel and Caitlin, and Grace is still trying to figure out how to say that. And Pastor Phil is in the house for all of our services this weekend, and I know he's got a fresh, hot, on fire word for Fusion Church today. So come on, guys, as he delivers that word, don't remain quiet, press in, get on your seat. Let's dig into what God is up to in this community, and then let's take that word and let's internalize it. Let's make some application with some observation. But I know Pastor Phil has a powerful word. So come on, as he's coming to the stage right now, let's put our hands together. Come on, let's jump up and down. Pastor Phil is on the way. Come on, church, we're excited.
All right, it's snowing outside. Okay, I know you're not really excited about that. I wasn't really excited either this afternoon. Considering I left, it was 89 degrees and the sun was shining. But besides that, we're not complaining. It's good to see you guys. How many glad you're in church on a Saturday night? So let's do a little, let me do a little behind the scenes here. How many of you Saturday night is your service you go to? Raise your hand. This is your service. How many of you like Saturday nights? I tell you what, we started a Saturday night service about a year and a half ago. And I got so used to going on Saturday nights, I kind of like going on Saturday nights myself. And man, isn't it cool to go to church on Saturday night? And then the good thing about me is I get to go on Sunday all over again, but I'm not asking you to do that. But I'm just glad you're here tonight. I have exactly 29 minutes and 5 seconds, but I'm glad. I want to introduce my wife. Stand up, babe. She and I have been together for quite a while. Still in love. We still act like we're in love, and we mean that. Pastor Tom almost took my message away. Storms, thank you for setting me up tonight. I'm going to talk tonight a little about a topic that I don't know a lot about, but I've been studying about it. And what happened back several weeks ago, I wound up going up to a lake in Arizona called Lake Pleasant. And I'd never been there before. I fell in love with Arizona all over again. I'd never been to Lake Pleasant, 150 feet deep of water, crystal clear, see that down anywhere 15, 20, 30 feet. It was beautiful, and sailboats were there. Now, remember, we lived on Long Island for 16 years. So living on Long Island Sound, there was a lot of boats, but I was always the powerboat guy. I'm type A personality. I know one speed, and that's you take the throttle, go all the way down, and that's, you leave it there. And you're always pushing to see if you get a little more out of it. But then I went out with sailing with a guy, and I thought, wow, this is kind of cool. This is kind of cool. And so I figured out, and so follow me with it. Here's what I figured out about sailing. Sailing is an invisible force, follow me, and it's an invisible force against a tangible object that propels it to a destination. That's what sailing is. In fact, I want you to watch this clip. This is basically what sailing looks like right here. It'll give you a good idea. This is a multi-million-dollar yacht that is a racing yacht. Watch this. This is what sailing's all about.
Sailing takes me away to where I've always wanted it.
Watch it. Here we go. Watch the bow. Now watch the guy up on watch him there. Oh, it gets better. Watch. Yes! See the guy strapped on there holding on for dear life? Now that kind of sailing I could enjoy. But I found out about something about sailing is that sailing, again, it's that invisible, touching the tangible, propelling it to a destination. And I thought my life is much like that. My life is filled of invisible winds and invisible things that touch me tangible and want to propel me to a destination. But the difference is with sailing, what do you do with the sail? See, to go from point A to point B in a speedboat, you just go like this. In a sailboat, you don't do that. You've got to do this. You start here and you tack. Come about. Come about. come about. You say, I'm not getting anywhere. Oh, yes, you are, because you're getting closer. And the invisible forces of life coming against your tangible is what's propelling you. The difference is, what do you do with the sail? The set of the sail. And so tonight I want to talk to you about how do you keep forward motion in the midst of the wind? How do you, when wind is coming at you, when the invisible is attacking you? Because I'm going to tell you, all around us right now, there are invisible forces. There's both that's good and there's that's evil. As sure as there's a God in heaven, there's a devil in hell. And there's invisible forces that are coming against your tangible object that are trying to propel you to a destination. But you get the choice to determine, how do you set your sail? See, if you don't know how to set the sail, then you can all of a sudden find yourself not able to tack like those guys were. And when the waves and the winds begin to come, what do you do with what's been handed to you? That's called learning to set the sail. The idea came from a poem that I had memorized years ago by a lady named Ella Wheeler Wilcox. She wrote it in 1916, and it says this: one ship sails east and another west by the self-same winds that blow. 'Tis the set of the sail and not the gales. The word gale there means the wind. Listen again. 'Tis the set of the sails and not the gales that tells the way we go. Like the winds of the sea are the waves of time as we journey along through life. 'Tis the set of the soul that determines the goal and not the calm or the strife. Let me say it again. It's the set of the sail, not the weight of the gale. It's the set of the soul that determines the goal, not the calm or the strife. You see, life is going to have, thank you, Pastor Tom, again, life is going to have moments that you get snow in April. That's, oh, why did this happen? But there will be moments that it's not the strife. There'll be moments of the calm, but there will be, it's not what happens in the strife or the calm. It's what the set of your soul is when what hits you, hits you. It's your choice. See, you're going to have things hit you that you didn't plan on. You may have your 5-year, 10-year, 15-year plan, but you're going to have moments along the path that an invisible force is going to step into your world and is going to try to take from you the destination you had planned and God, that you knew God had planned for you. I did a message recently on who is writing your anthropology. Who is writing your anthropology? Anthropology is the study of man. It's the origin, it's the destiny, it's what we're made out of, it's why we're made like we are. And I said, is your anthropology the last DUI? Is your anthropology your last divorce? Or is your anthropology going to go back to a cross 2,000 years ago where a man stood up and said, I have a plan for you. You're going to take some things in life. You're going to have some things hit you. But what do you do with your origin? And where is your destiny based upon who is calling the shots when the wind comes? How do I keep this forward motion, and what is the set of my soul? Tonight I want to read two guys in the Bible. One is in the Old Testament. His name is David. He's the guy that gave us the Psalms. He's the guy that killed Goliath. He's also the guy that killed a lion and a bear before he was a young man. And then we're going to read about the Apostle Paul, who gave us most of the New Testament. And so tonight I want to start out with 2 Samuel, and we're going to look at chapter 22. And basically, 2 Samuel 22 and Psalm 18 are just about the same thing. They're both David's writings, but they're more than a writing. You're going to find out in a minute that David writes a song. So in the back of your mind, think that this is David singing this. So let's look at 2 Samuel 22, starting at verse 1. David sang this song to the Lord on the day the Lord rescued him from all his enemies and from Saul. Now, who's Saul? Saul's his mentor. Saul's his boss. Saul's the king. Saul's the guy that you're supposed to be following. Saul's the guy that you should be able to trust in. Saul is the man that you should be able to put a little bit of something there and hope it all turns out okay. But it says that on this day, David is delivered from Saul. Verse 2, he sang, the Lord is my rock, my fortress, my Savior. Now remember, he's singing this. My God is my rock in whom I find protection. He is my shield, the power that saves me, my place of safety. He is my refuge, my Savior, the one who saves me from violence. I called on the Lord who is worthy of praise, and he saved me from my enemies. Here we go back into the sailing thing. The waves of death overwhelmed me. Floods of destruction swept over me. Have you ever been there before? Come on, have you ever been there before where all of a sudden the waves of death, this is getting ready to take me out. The floods of destruction swept over me. But notice verse 10, he, who's he? God, opened the heavens and came down. Dark storm clouds were beneath his feet, mounted on a mighty angelic being. The word there is cherub. And he flew, and again, here's the sailing thing, soaring on the wings of the wind. Notice David said, I'm singing a song. David says, I'm telling you, I was at the place of death. I was at the place that the floods of destruction were sweeping over me. But he came on the wings of the wind. The very thing that you think may be trying to destroy you may be the thing that's trying to put wind in your sail to propel you. Somebody tweet that because I thought my message. That's not in my notes. Man, that was good. I hope someone remembers that for me for tomorrow. Verse 17, he reached down from heaven. Who's that? God reached down from heaven and rescued me. He drew me out of deep waters. He rescued me from my powerful enemies, from those who hated me and were too strong for me. Notice, this is the guy that's the lion killer, the bear killer, and Goliath killer. Notice he said, but God rescued me from my powerful enemies, from those who hated me, who were too strong for me. They attacked me at a moment when I was in distress. In other words, they kicked me when I was down. But the Lord supported me. He led me to a place of safety. He rescued me because he delights in me. Let me ask you something. How many of you, how do you see God? How do you see God? See, some of you might have been raised around a particular religious thought that God was this old guy who had bad breath and he was, had a big beard and he was just looking at you on the planet Earth, and every time you would begin to step out to do something wrong, God was like, get rid of that one. He's mad. He's just waiting for you to mess up so he can kick you off. But have you ever noticed that in the Old Testament, it says the Lord rejoices over you with singing? Have you ever thought that God sings over you? The last several days we've been hanging out with the grandkids, and I'm telling you what, today, little Miss Gracie did not want to be Miss Nicey Nice. And so Pam had the other two, and I was out in the car, and I was trying to sing to her, and then came home and tried to put her to bed, and then I started singing songs to her. And you know what? When you sing to a child many times, it just brings calm. And can I ask you something? Do you think that the God you serve, is he singing to you? Because David said, he delights in me. What do you think about God, and what does God think about you, is my question. See, God delights in me. And though the winds may come, propelling me, the tangible object, God delights in me to take me to a destination, to a place. But what do I do when it happens? How do I set my sail? Watch this. The Lord rewarded me for doing right. He restored me because of my innocence. For I have kept the ways of the Lord. I have not turned from my God to follow evil. See, you get a choice in life. You get a choice in life what you do with what's been handed to you. You can't control the calm or the strife. Remember, it's not the weight of the gale, it's the set of the sail. It's not the calm of the strife, it's the set of the soul. The Old Testament says, I set my face like a flint. What does that mean? That means just made up my mind, I'm going forward. I'm going forward. You say, well, what's the key to going forward? Here's the key, I believe, to going forward. You've got to see something that's bigger than your problems. Let me say it again. How do you keep going forward? You have to see something that's bigger than your problems. See, I think what the enemy wants to do in our lives is to get us focused on the problems, get us focused on the challenges, and we forget the promises. We forget what God's already spoke. We forget what God's already said. See, some of you are waiting for a fresh word, and he's already given you a word. Some of you say, I don't know what to do. Go back to what's the last thing God told you to do and be faithful to that. Just go back to that and stay on that for a while. You say, well, I don't know what to do right now. What is God saying about you? Is God mad at you? Or is God delighting in you? Or are you allowing the winds to come so you can set your sail to propel you to the destination God has for you? Watch this. See, David didn't just stop there. It said, look at verse 20 again. He led me to a place of safety. He rescued me because he delights in me. That's the kind of God we serve. Now, how in the world can you go forward? You say, well, wait a minute. You don't understand my life. And you know what? I don't know your life. And you don't know mine. But all of us have a choice which way we're going. Because it's the set of the sail, not the weight of the gale. The one thing I realized about living on Long Island, being a power boater, I wanted to be out there when the water was slick. And when the wind started kicking up, come on, the day's over with. Come on, get the kids. We got to put the kids back in the boat. We got to head back in. But you know what? When the wind came up, that's when the guys in the sailboats came out. Man, they loved it. They loved the wind because that was their moment. Can I ask you a question? Do you complain when the winds that could be the thing that propels you come? Do you run for shore, or do you say, come on, God, what are you doing? Here, again, the only way you'll get to go forward is seeing something that's beyond your pain. You say, well, what if I got the big ones like cancer, loss of job, sick kids, divorce? See something bigger than your pain. Because I think the enemy loves for us to be focused on how bad it is right now. But thank you, Pastor Tom, it won't be like this in July. See, I believe that life is cyclical, even from the time, in fact, in Genesis, it said there will always be seed time and harvest, seed time and harvest. There will always be winter, and after winter will always be spring. After spring will always be summer, then fall. And then guess what? It's going to do it all over again. Life is cyclical. Think about it. I was thinking about this the other day. We're in a building program right now, and our young couples, that seems to be the fastest growing part of our church, our young couples are so excited about our new children's area and all this happening. But then we got the people that are over here that are empty nesters, and they could really care less about all the stuff for the kids. In fact, they're wanting to hear the cries of babies. These young moms over here saying, I wish someone would take this child and give me a day off. They're over here saying, if we just had babies back in the house again. And they're over here saying, I wish we didn't have babies anymore. I love that State Farm commercial. I'm never going to get married. He gets married. Then we're never going to have kids. We're never going to move to the suburbs. We're never going to have a minivan. We're never going to have another child. I'm pregnant. You know, life is like that. It's going to be like that. But how do you keep going forward? 2 Corinthians, verse 18. Paul, kind of like David, has these issues, but listen how Paul handles this. Now, remember, this is the guy who gave us most of the New Testament. And who do we think we are that we're going to get off on this? You know, that we get a pass on this? We think you ought to know, dear brothers and sisters, about the trouble we went through in the province of Asia. This is Paul. We were crushed. Let's write them down. Crushed, overwhelmed, beyond our ability to endure. We thought we would never live through it. Verse 9, first part says, in fact, we expected to die. This is the Apostle Paul. He's saying, I've been crushed. I've been overwhelmed beyond my ability to endure. I didn't think I'd live through it. In fact, I expected to die. I know you've never been there. You guys have never been there. You don't know anybody like that, do you? That's all the people who come on Sunday. No, you know what I'm talking about. The wind are coming at you, the winds of adversity. And you've got a guy who gave us most of the New Testament, and he's being honest and says, I didn't even think I was going to make it. I didn't think I'd live through it. In fact, verse 9, we expected to die. How do you keep forward momentum when you feel like that you have no reason to live? That everything has been sucked out of you. I was with recently Preston Morrison, which is the pastor of Gateway Scottsdale, and he looked at me and he said, you're going to have two kinds of people in your life. You're going to have the people that are going to be your hands up people. They're the people that are keeping your hands up. Then you'll have the people that are hands down, and all they are is in your business. They're trying to pick apart, they're trying to take apart, they're trying to always dissect, they're always trying to second guess. And he said, you always have to have the people who are the hands up people standing next to you. That's the spirit of Aaron, and that's the spirit of Hur. When Moses was in the battle, you had to have somebody that was there to keep your hands lifted. Do you know why church is so important? Do you know why community is so important? Is because you need people around you that when the winds do come, and when the sick child does come, when you do lose the job that you thought you'd have forever, when the guy walks in that you thought you would never ever hear the moment of the word divorce again, then you got to have somebody that's there with a hand lifted up person. Because you're going to have the people that, well, it's probably your fault. You know, if you'd never done that. Well, you think about this. If you'd never... There's going to be wind hit your life. You said, well, let's quit right now. Man, it sounds horrible. David said he thought he'd never live through it. He expected to die. Let's just pass out the razor blades and call it a night tonight. Before I read the rest of that verse, though, let me tell you somebody that kind of turned me on to the idea of sailing. His name is Joshua Slocum. Captain Joshua Slocum wrote a book that has still been in print since 1900. The book is called Sailing Around the World. At 51 years old, at 51, he decided he was going to leave Boston Harbor in 1895 and was going to take his little spray, that's his little swoop called spray, and he was going to sail around the world. I think I sent some pictures over to you guys, and if you don't mind, throw a couple of them up there. There's a couple pictures of Captain Slocum. That's his boat right there. 1895. Now think 1895. That's pre-iPhone 4. Everybody good? That's before iPhone 4. No, there was no such thing. His book right there, that was the book, 1895. He wrote it in 1900. It's never stopped being in print. Now let me tell you something about the guy. 51 years old. He leaves Boston Harbor. He's the first man to ever circumnavigate the world, 46,000 miles. How many of you guys are water guys, or ladies, you love the water? How many know what Raytheon is, or you know what a GPS tracking system is on your boat? There are no, that's him right there. Nice guy, nice hat. Think about it. What does he do? He doesn't have like a helicopter flying by to drop in supplies. He doesn't have ship to shore. Hey guys, I'm really tired of this. Can we just take like a week off? I'm kind of getting, no, 46,000, took him 3 years to go around the world. First man ever to do it. Notice, here's what he said. To know the law that governed the winds and to know that you know them will give you an easy mind. Otherwise, you may tremble at the appearance of every cloud. Wow. Now, I gave you a poem in the very beginning by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. It's not the weight of the gale. It's the set of the sail. It's the set of the soul that determines the goal. Now, Captain Joshua Slocum tells us something else. He says, to know the law that governed the winds and to know that you know them will give you an easy mind. Otherwise, you may tremble at the appearance of every cloud. Some of you, cancer runs in your family. Every time you have a pain, oh man, my dad had the same thing, happened right there, same spot. Man, I feel it coming on. Ooh. Do you think in 3 years that Captain Slocum saw a lot of clouds? Oh yeah. But notice he said you got to know the law that governs the winds. And you got to know you know them. Romans 8:28 says that, and I'm telling you, this verse means so much to me. For we know that God will work all things together for the good to them that love him and are called according to his purpose. See, I know who governs the wind, and I know him. So whatever may come, whether it's calm or whether it's strife, it's going to be okay. Because I know that I know him. And every time a cloud comes up, I have a choice. I'm not going to run, because every time a cloud comes up, I know who holds the wind in his hand. Now let's finish up here with Paul. And then Eddie, where you at, bro? Come on, man, help back up. Now let's read on down, because he said, in fact, we expected to die. And you think, wow, that's pretty depressing. Why would you even read that passage? Oh, but look what Paul said next. But as a result of what? As a result, I thought I was going to die. We stopped relying on ourselves and learned to rely only on God who raises the dead. Wow. Are you kidding me? And he did rescue us from mortal danger, and he will rescue us again. We have placed our confidence in him, and he will continue to rescue us. And you are helping us by praying for us. Then many people will give thanks, because God has graciously answered so many prayers for our safety. I don't know where the wind's going to come from. I don't know exactly what's going to be next, but I can tell you this. Whatever wind comes, I know who holds the winds in his hands. Do you know the book of Proverbs says that God holds the winds in his fists? Write this down someplace. How do you move forward? You focus on what is happening in you, not in what is happening to you. Some of you tonight will be set free if you will stop looking at what is happening to you and realize that God is allowing something to happen in you. Because I know that all things are going to work together for the good, because I love God and I'm called according to his purpose, and I'm going to set my sail on that no matter how strong the wind is, it's going to propel me into a destination that God has planned for me. I close with this. The secret to living life with the wind in your sails is to focus more on him than on the problems, the pain, the possessions, and the people around you. In fact, Paul said it this way in Hebrews 12:2. We do this. How do we do what? We do what? We keep going forward by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith. Because of the joy awaiting him, he endured the cross, disregarding its shame. You know how you keep going forward tonight? You have your choice. You can start looking at what's happening to you, or you can lift up your eyes. I'm looking unto Jesus, the author, the finisher of my faith. I can focus on challenges. I can focus on people. I can focus on what someone said, or I can focus on that wind that seems to be a destructive wind, or I can say, wait a minute, I've got my eyes on Jesus, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher. Let me tell you something. I don't know what you may be going through tonight, but I'm telling you, God is not through with you yet, or you wouldn't be here tonight. You're breathing. You're alive. It may not be the moment you thought, this may not be the world you thought it was going to be like, but I'm going to tell you something. Just set your sail. Tonight, some of you, you've brought your sail down and said, I'm about ready to quit. I don't even care anymore. I can care less. And you just want to just sit there in the boat and say, I'm done. But the God of heaven is saying, get the sail up. Come on, get the sail up. Let that invisible force that's been touching you, get it in your sail and let it press you into the destination that God has for you. What you think is about to destroy you may be the very thing that is getting ready to propel you. Just bow your head for a moment. Father, I know tonight that all things, they may not be good, but we know that all things work together for good. And I know, God, that there's so many challenges that hit life. But wind is what causes the sail to go forward. Wind is what allows us in the moment when we don't know what had happened. But we lift up our eyes tonight. I pray tonight, God, that you would help there to be an attitude adjustment and there would be a visible adjustment. I pray tonight for someone who's been fixated on what's been happening to them, and they would begin to lift up holy hands with what you're doing in them and say, thank you, God. I don't understand it, but I set my sail. I set my sail in a direction heading to you, oh God, because my eyes are on you. And I pray, God, tonight, for every person in this room, fear be gone, faith arise, anxiety be silenced, let hope be resurrected. God, tonight, when we leave this place, let us leave with wind in our sails. I can't help but believe that tonight there's someone here and you're in a place of saying, man, I didn't know I was going to get this tonight. I didn't realize this was going to be about me, and you don't know what I'm going through. But I'm here tonight to tell you that there's a God in heaven who loves you so much, and he is smiling over you right now. He is loving on you. He has put people around you in this church called Fusion Church to be able to know that you have people who are hands up people. And sometimes in life, we just need to be very open and honest and say, come on, God, I need help tonight. I need you, and I want you to intervene in my life. If that's you, I want you to get up right where you are and come and have one of these people at this team just to pray with you tonight, because I'm going to tell you, we're here tonight because we want to see you get your eyes on Jesus. Get your eyes on Jesus. During this next song, if you would. If you have something you're going through tonight, you say, I'd like for someone to come alongside of me and help me to get the sail back up